Welcome to More Than a Few Words, marketing conversation for business owners. This is your host, Lorraine Ball. And let's face it, all of us want to get paid for what we know. All of that wisdom we have spent a lifetime accruing, we want to share with others for a price. And that's what we're going to talk about today. My guest, Mary Henderson, is a transformational leader, an internationally recognized personal branding and online business specialist. She helps establish coaches, consultants, and industry experts productize, digitize, and commercialize their knowledge. And she's going to help us put a framework around this whole wisdom economy. Mary, welcome to the show.
Lorraine, I am so excited to be on your show today and unpack this topic with you.
Oh, I love this topic because this is the dream. This is what everybody is sitting there thinking, well, I know stuff. I can get paid for it. And you can, but you got to do some things. So, where do I start? How do I start transforming what I know into what I sell?
Great question. And it's a great start to this conversation that we're going to have because the wisdom economy, Lorraine, I believe is the next blue ocean. And the reason I say that is because we have got so many incredible industry experts that have 20, 30 years in their professional corporate career and they're finding themselves at middle age asking that big question, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? Because let's face it, working 60 hours a week and fulfilling somebody else's dream ain't going to cut it. But on the other side, you've got small businesses, SMEs, and the question that they need to be asking themselves is, how do we protect our intellectual property
Mhm.
in the form of knowledge and wisdom and skill set? How do we consolidate that? So, one thing that I'm very passionate about in the people that I work with is building e-learning businesses. And the way that we do that is we to start to unpack what I call your internal inventory. Here's the thing about the wisdom economy, Lorraine. It's not just about professional skills. It's actually about professional and personal. And because in professional and personal, we have knowledge, we gain wisdom, we gain skill sets. And the question is, how do we merge all of that together? In other words, how do I bring all of myself to the table, unpack all of that inventory, and then we need to organize that inventory so that it starts to solve very specific complex problems. The goal is to turn complex into simple. So when you're an industry expert, that's the thing that you can do. And when we start to do that, right, we're building
Mhm.
frameworks to be able to create the pathway forward.
Okay, I want to jump in because you crammed, and I love it. You put so much in there. But one of the things that really resonated with me was this idea that it's all of you. It's not just what you know, it's who you are. And I really see that as a huge point of difference when everybody is leaving their corporate jobs and wants to sell their
I think
knowledge.
that's right, Lorraine. And the thing is that we have to look at the whole person because that is, and I'll tell you why. If you show up in anything that you do that's a part of you, you're always going to feel empty. Something's missing. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy. And then we call it a midlife crisis. But instead, when you start to incorporate all of you, right,
Mhm.
your hero's journey, the dark night of the soul, all the breakups, all the tears, the trials, tribulations, and your professional experience, now you've got a completely different picture. So when I'm working with people, we don't just unpack your professional experience. We go to the place that caused you heartache, the trials, the tribulations, the loss, because in there is the wisdom. And you know
Mhm.
what, Lorraine? That's what people pay for. They pay for the wisdom. They're not paying for the skill set.
I can watch a million different YouTube videos to get to the skill set. Why I connect with a particular speaker or trainer is the stories of how they used that skill set. How did they build that skill set? Okay, so you've got me hooked. I I have a sense of who I am. I have a sense of what I want to bring to the table. And that's all great. But how do I start constructing something that I can sell to someone?
Well, this is really key because when I work with people, the first thing we do is we start off by building the foundation, Lorraine. This is critical. Um, I think what a lot of people try and do is they try and create offers, and trying to sell a solution to a problem. It's very disconnected, it's very fragmented. I go the opposite way. I collect all the inventory and we build the foundation first. In other words, we build what I would call your signature solution. It's the core of who you are. It is the macro complex problem that you can solve. And then once we build that foundation, Lorraine, then and only then can we start to deconstruct it. And then I can start building out other offers that come from my foundation. The foundation is, think about building a house, Lorraine. When you build a
Mhm.
house, you don't just build the roof without a foundation. You need the foundation. And then you start building the home. Then you start adding in the windows or the furniture and all these little bits and pieces. But without the foundation, you don't have a home. So I think that that's a really key part that a lot of people miss out on. Because when you build a foundation, Lorraine, then you can start to build frameworks around it. And frameworks is your intellectual property. This
Mhm.
is the key that an influencer cannot provide their audience. They're providing information, you're providing transformation.
Absolutely. And I love that idea of starting with the foundation because I agree with you. So many times I talk to coaches and consultants and they're like, well, I have this course and I have this course, and this course leads you to this and leads you to that. And then eventually you come to work with me. And they really haven't clarified in their mind or in the mind of their potential customer, what will working with me look like? And I got to tell you, I still wrestle with that sometimes. And
Yeah.
once you clearly define that foundation, now you're like, oh, well, if I want to sell this service, I need a course that teaches this little piece. And I need a workbook that supports that. But if you just create those pieces in a disjointed manner, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. And this is why we have to get out of the mindset of building offers because it's a
Mhm.
very digital marketing kind of approach. And I come from a tech background. We build e-learning businesses. We're not building offers. Offers is a very it's a very antiquated language that a lot
Mhm.
of the coaches use. And what we need to do is we need to get back to language that converts into assets. And I think that we have to stop looking at coaching businesses as offers and courses and information because information is out of fashion. No one's buying information anymore because I can get it from ChatGPT or Google for free. What we need to be thinking is how do I build an e-learning business that has smarts built into it? I'm building an asset that I can actually sell in 3 to 5 years. And I think that that's a very different approach to just building offers and courses that are based on information. And as you say, very disconnected.
Absolutely. All right. If there's one more thing that I should keep in mind as I'm working on creating this platform for my knowledge, for my wisdom, what should I be thinking about?
I think a couple of things. I think that you need to be very clear on the macro complex problem that you can solve to start off with. I think that is a really big deal, and get clear on that because once you understand what the macro is, then you can break down the micro and the nano. Then the next part is to really define your avatars, not your niche. Niche is also an obsolete terminology. We need to be speaking to avatars because then it actually opens up the breadth and the depth of who you can serve. So, and therefore you can create multiple solutions for the different avatars. So focus on the complex problem that you can solve, the macro, understand who your avatars are, the multiple audiences, and be very clear on what you promise, because that's what the client's paying for. They're actually paying for outcomes, results, and transformation. They're not paying for information anymore. If you can't deliver outcomes, results, and transformation, it's going to be an uphill battle because it's very, very hard to sell. So when you're creating outcomes, results, and transformation, you need frameworks to support that. And this is where a lot of coaches don't, or even SMEs, they don't actually have the framework that can actually take, for example, a customer on a journey from start to promise. So we need to be very clear on all of these. But they're the three things that I would actually be focused on right now.
Awesome. Mary, this is fabulous. This is a wonderful roadmap to get started. And I think you've probably created more questions in the mind of most of my listeners. And so I'm going to encourage any of you, if you are curious, if you are a coach, a knowledge professional, and you would like to monetize your wisdom, you want to head over to maryhendersoncoaching.com. Mary, thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you, Lorraine.
This was so much fun. And if you're looking for other resources for your business, hop over to morethanafewwords.com. There you'll find hundreds of conversations like this, workbooks and webinars, and so much more. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening.